I had to come over and tell you, look incredible out here. The moment Zara's hips started moving to the beat, every man in Club Azure forgot how to breathe. But only one man forgot how to think. His name was Lee Jihan. And in exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds, he was going to make a decision that would destroy both their lives in the most beautiful way possible. But let me back up because you need to understand something. Zara Williams wasn't supposed to be in Seoul at all. She wasn't supposed to be in that club. And she definitely wasn't supposed to catch the attention of the most dangerous man in South Korea. But sometimes fate doesn't care about what's supposed to happen. Sometimes fate just wants to watch the world burn. If you're ready for a story so intense it'll make you forget your own name. So addictive you'll be reading at 3 a.m. with your phone at 1% battery. So passionate it'll ruin every other romance story for you. Then buckle up. Hit that subscribe button right now because what you're about to read will change how you think about obsession, desire, and the thin line between salvation and destruction. And I'm not being dramatic. Not even a little bit. Let's begin. Zara Williams was 20 years old, broke as hell, and currently making the worst decision of her life, or the best one. She honestly couldn't tell yet. 6 months ago, she'd been a dance major at Howard University with a 3.8 GPA and a future so bright it hurt to look at directly. Then her mom got sick. Stage 4 breast cancer. The kind that turns medical bills into mortgage payments and makes you realize that health insurance is basically a scam designed to bankrupt normal people. Zara had dropped out in her junior year, moved back to Atlanta, worked 3 jobs, waitressing at Waffle House, teaching kids dance classes at the YMCA, and doing hair on weekends. Every penny went to her mom's treatment. Every single one. And it worked. Her mom beat cancer. Against all odds, against every statistic, Diana Williams was in remission. But Zara was still broke, still no degree, still working herself to exhaustion just to keep from drowning in the debt they'd accumulated. Then her best friend Maya called with the most insane opportunity Zara had ever heard. Girl, there's this international dance competition in Seoul. First place is $50,000. Zara had laughed. Actually laughed. Maya, I don't have money for groceries. How am I supposed to get to Seoul? The competition pays for everything. Flight, hotel, meals. You just have to submit an audition video, and if you get selected, you're in. Zara had submitted the video on a whim. A 3-minute routine she'd choreographed in her mom's living room, dancing to a mix of Afro beats and contemporary. She'd worn leggings and a sports bra because they were clean, and she hadn't had time to find anything else. Her natural hair was in a high puff. She wasn't wearing makeup. She looked exactly like what she was, a tired 20-year-old trying to find joy in the only thing that still made sense. She got selected. 2 weeks later, Zara was on a plane to Seoul with a suitcase full of borrowed clothes and a heart full of hope that felt dangerous. The competition was everything she'd dreamed of. Dancers from 20 different countries, choreographers whose work she'd studied for years. And the performances, God, the performances were incredible. Zara made it to the finals. She didn't win. Came in 4th place actually, but she danced her heart out and left everything on that stage. No regrets. The night after the competition ended, Maya, who'd flown out for the finals, dragged Zara to Club Azure in Gangnam. We're celebrating, Maya said, already pulling Zara toward the entrance. You just competed internationally. You placed 4th out of 300 dancers. We're getting drunk and dancing until our feet fall off. Zara laughed. Maya, I can't afford club drinks in Seoul. Girl, I saw the prices. We're having exactly 2 drinks and dancing like we're rich. Come on. So Zara went. She was wearing a black dress Maya had lent her. Tight, short, cut low enough to be interesting, but not so low it was desperate. Her natural hair was out, styled in a twist out that framed her face perfectly. Her dark skin was glowing under the club lights. And for the first time in 6 months, Zara felt young, felt beautiful, felt like maybe, just maybe, her life wasn't completely falling apart. The DJ was playing an Afro beats remix that made Zara's body move before her brain could catch up. She grabbed Maya's hand and pulled her onto the dance floor, and Zara danced. She danced like she hadn't just spent 6 months watching her mother almost die. Danced like she wasn't drowning in debt. Danced like she was still that girl who'd believed her talent would be enough to change her life. Her hips rolled to the beat. Her waist moved in ways that made physics look like a suggestion. Her whole body was a conversation with the music, fluid and fierce, and absolutely fearless. She had no idea that 3 floors above her, a man who controlled half of Seoul's criminal empire was watching her on a security monitor and making a decision that would change everything. Lee Ji-han hadn't felt anything in so long, he'd almost forgotten what it was like. Almost. At 30 years old, he'd seen everything, done everything, owned everything. His father's empire had been built on fear and violence. Ji-han had inherited that empire at 20 and transformed it into something more efficient, more profitable, more terrifying. He didn't just control Seoul's underworld. He controlled the people who thought they controlled it. Politicians, judges, police chiefs. They all had his money in their accounts and his secrets in their closets. Ji-han was rich beyond comprehension, powerful beyond measure, and empty in a way that no amount of money or control could fill. He'd stopped feeling things years ago, stopped wanting things. Want was weakness, his father had said. Weakness got you killed. So Ji-han had built walls, fortress walls, so high and thick that nothing got in. Not love, not hope, not desire, nothing until tonight. He was in Club Azure's owner's suite, a private space that overlooked the entire club through one-way glass and security monitors. He owned the club, of course, owned most of the clubs in Gangnam, owned most of everything that mattered in Seoul. He'd come tonight because Seo Bin, his head of security, had mentioned the International Dance Festival was wrapping up. Foreign dancers would be celebrating at various clubs. Ji-han had been curious, nothing more. He was watching the monitors with the kind of bored detachment he brought to everything when he saw her. A black woman, young, early 20s, probably dancing in the center of the floor like she'd been born doing it. Natural hair catching the lights, dark skin glowing, body moving in ways that made his mouth go completely dry. But it wasn't just her body. It was the way she moved, confident, joyful, completely unaware that every person around her had stopped dancing just to watch. She was dancing for herself, for the music, for the pure joy of existing in her body. And something in Ji-han's chest cracked open. For the first time in 10 years, Lee Ji-han wanted something. No, needed something. He needed to know who she was. Needed to hear her voice. Needed to touch her skin and find out if it was as soft as it looked under those lights. Needed to know if that joy she was radiating was real or just very good acting. Seo Bin. Ji-han's voice came out rougher than he'd intended. His head of security appeared immediately. Yes, boss. The woman on monitor 4 dancing, natural hair, black dress. Find out everything about her. Name, where she's from, why she's in Seoul, where she's staying, everything. Seo Bin pulled out his phone, already making calls. Right away. But Ji-han wasn't patient enough to wait. He stood up, straightened his suit jacket, and headed for the stairs. He was going down there. He was going to meet her, and God help both of them, because when Lee Ji-han wanted something, he took it no matter the cost. Zara was mid-spin when she felt it. That weird prickle on the back of her neck that meant someone was watching. Not the casual watching that happened in clubs. The intense kind, the predatory kind. She turned, and her breath stopped. The finest man she'd ever seen in her entire life was walking directly toward her through a crowd that was parting like the Red Sea. He was tall, maybe 6 feet, Korean with perfect bone structure that looked like it had been carved by someone who understood exactly what women wanted to look at. Sharp jaw, high cheekbones, eyes so dark and intense they didn't look real. Black hair styled back from his face. And he was wearing a suit that probably cost more than her mom's medical bills. The kind of suit that said, I'm rich, I'm powerful, and I'm very aware of both those facts. Everything about him screamed danger. But not the runaway kind of danger. The run toward kind. The kind that makes your stomach flip and your brain stop working. He stopped directly in front of Zara, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. You danced beautifully. His English was perfect. Just the slightest hint of an accent that made every word sound more interesting. Zara's heart was doing something weird. Thank you. What's your name? Zara. Williams. He said it slowly like he was tasting it. I'm Ji-han. Can I buy you a drink? Every instinct Zara had screamed, warning. This man was too smooth, too confident, too everything. Men who looked like that and moved like that didn't buy girls like her drinks just to be nice. But Zara had spent 6 months being responsible, being careful, being boring. Tonight she wanted to be reckless. His smile was small but devastating. Follow me. He led her through the club, and Zara noticed something weird. People moved out of his way. Not like they were being polite, like they were scared. Actually scared. Who the hell was this guy? They went up a set of stairs Zara hadn't even known existed, past a security guard who nodded at Jihan like he was seeing royalty, and into a private suite that overlooked the entire club. The space was insane. Floor-to-ceiling windows, leather furniture that looked soft enough to sleep on, a full bar, artwork on the walls that Zara was pretty sure belonged in museums. Holy shit, Zara breathed. You own this place. I own many places. Jihan walked to the bar and poured 2 glasses of something amber that came from a crystal decanter. But yes, this club is mine. He handed her a glass. Their fingers brushed, and Zara felt electricity shoot straight up her arm. So what do you do? Zara asked, taking a sip. The liquor was smooth and expensive and definitely not something she could afford. Import and export, very boring business things. Liars, Zara thought. But she didn't push it. They talked about her competition, her dancing, her mom's cancer, her dreams of finishing her degree, about Seoul and Atlanta, and what it was like being far from home. Jihan was an incredible listener. He watched her like every word she said mattered, like she was the most interesting person he'd ever met. And Zara, who'd spent 6 months feeling invisible under the weight of bills and responsibility and exhaustion, felt seen. Really seen. How long are you in Seoul? Jihan asked at some point. I leave in 3 days. Something flickered across his face. Something dark. 3 days isn't enough. For what? To know you. He moved closer. Close enough that Zara could smell his cologne. Expensive. Intoxicating. To understand why watching you dance made me feel something I haven't felt in 10 years. Zara's brain was screaming red flag, but her body wasn't listening. What did you feel? The question came out breathier than she'd intended. His hand lifted, fingers brushing her cheek so softly it barely counted as touch. You made me feel alive, Zara Williams. And I don't think 3 days will be nearly enough time to explore what that means. She should leave. Should grab Maya and get the hell out of this club and away from this man who looked at her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. I should get back to my friend, Zara said, standing up even though every part of her wanted to stay. Jihan stood too, pulled a black business card from his pocket. Have dinner with me tomorrow night. I don't know if that's a good idea. Why not? Because you're either a criminal or a psychopath, and I'm not sure which one scares me more. He smiled. Actually smiled, and it transformed his entire face from intimidating to almost boyish. What if I'm both? Then I should definitely run. But you won't. He pressed the card into her hand. Because you felt it, too. When we touched, when I looked at you, you felt exactly what I felt. He was right. God help her. Call me Zara. Please. The please at the end softened everything just enough that Zara took the card. She found Maya at the bar looking worried. Girl, where have you been? I was about to send out a search party. I met someone. His name is Jihan. He owns this place. Maya's eyes went wide. Owns this place. Like the whole club. And he wants to have dinner with me tomorrow. Maya grabbed Zara's arm and pulled her toward the exit. We need to leave right now. Because I was asking the bartender about the VIP section, and when I mentioned the owner, he literally went pale. Zara, I think you just had drinks with a gangster. Zara's stomach dropped. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that everyone in this club is terrified of him. I'm talking about the fact that the bartender looked at me like I just signed my death warrant by asking questions. Zara, that man is dangerous. They got back to their hotel, and Zara couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about Jihan's eyes, his touch, the way he'd looked at her like she was something precious. The next morning, there was a knock on her door. A hotel employee stood there holding the biggest bouquet of white roses Zara had ever seen. The card said, dinner tonight at 8. My driver will pick you up at 7:45. We're something that makes you feel as beautiful as you look dancing. There was also a garment bag. Inside was a dress. Red designer. Definitely cost more than Zara made in 3 months. And it was exactly her size. How did he know her size? Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Zara. Jihan's voice made her knees weak even through the phone. Did you get my gift? How did you know my size? How did you know what hotel I'm staying at? I wanted to make sure tonight would be perfect. That's not an answer. I know. Say yes, Zara. Let me show you what your life could be like. Every logical part of Zara's brain screamed, no. This man had somehow found out where she was staying and what size she wore. That wasn't romantic. That was terrifying. But there was another part of her. A part that had been buried under responsibility and exhaustion and fear. A part that whispered, "When was the last time someone wanted you this badly?" "Okay," Zara heard herself say. "I'll have dinner with you. You won't regret it. I promise you, Zara Williams, you won't regret it." He hung up. Zara stared at the phone. Then she looked out the window. 3 black SUVs were parked outside the hotel, just sitting there waiting. Zara's hands started shaking. What the hell had she just agreed to? Maya came to Zara's room within minutes of being summoned. "Those weren't there last night," Maya said, staring at the SUVs. "I know, Zara. You need to cancel that dinner." "And say what?" "Sorry, the fact that you're stalking me is a turnoff." Zara sat on the bed. "Maya, what if he gets angry? What if he gets obsessed?" Maya shot back. "Girl, this is how horror movies start." Zara's phone rang again. She answered with shaking hands. "Those men outside your hotel are for your protection, not to scare you." His voice was calm. Too calm. "I made a mistake last night by being seen with you so publicly. Now certain people know you're important to me. Those men will keep you safe until you leave Seoul. Important to you. We just met. But Zara, I've never felt like this before. And I need you to understand that in my world, when something matters to me, I protect it. You matter to me." "What world? What do you do, Jihan?" Long silence. "Have dinner with me tonight, and I'll tell you everything. Complete honesty. No more secrets." Zara should hang up. Should pack her bags and catch the earliest flight home. 7:45, she said instead. "But I want the truth. All of it. You'll have it. I promise." After he hung up, Maya looked at Zara like she'd lost her mind. "You're actually going." "I have to know," Zara said. "I have to know what this is." That night, Zara put on the red dress. It fit like it had been made specifically for her body. Hugged her curves perfectly. The color made her dark skin look luminous. She did her makeup carefully, put on the only nice jewelry she owned, small gold hoops her mom had given her. She looked at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked expensive, desired, dangerous. At 7:44, her phone buzzed. "My driver is downstairs." Zara grabbed her purse, kissed Maya's cheek, and whispered, "If I'm not back by midnight, call the police." "Girl, I'm calling the police at 12:01. The driver was waiting by a black Mercedes that probably cost more than Zara's house. He opened the door without speaking. The ride led to a restaurant in a part of Seoul that looked like money had its own zip code. When they arrived, Jihan was standing outside waiting. He was wearing a black suit that fit him so perfectly it had to be custom. When he saw Zara, his whole face changed, softened. "You're stunning," he said, opening her car door. "You said you'd tell me the truth." "I will. But first, let me look at you for one more second before everything changes." He offered his hand. Zara took it. The restaurant was empty. Completely empty. "Where is everyone?" Zara asked. "I reserved the entire place. I wanted privacy for what I need to tell you." They sat at a table by the window overlooking Seoul's skyline. The food was incredible, but Zara could barely taste it. She was too focused on Jihan, who kept watching her with those intense eyes. "You said you'd tell me the truth," Zara finally said. "So tell me, what do you do?" Jihan set down his fork and looked directly at her. "I run the largest criminal organization in Seoul. Drugs, weapons, money laundering, protection. If it's illegal and profitable, I control it." Zara's heart stopped. "You're a gangster." "I prefer the term businessman, but yes, I'm what you would call a mafia boss." "I should run. Should I've killed people, Zara?" His voice didn't change. "Not many, but enough. I've ordered deaths. I've destroyed lives. I'm not a good man." "Then why are you telling me this?" "Because I need you to know exactly who I am before you decide." He reached across the table and took her hand. "I'm 30 years old, and I've never believed in love. I thought it was weakness, but then I saw you dancing, and something in me broke open. I can't explain it. All I know is that I need you in my life, Zara. And I won't lie to you about who I am to get that." Zara's mind was spinning. "This is crazy. You're a criminal. I'm a dance major with student loans. This doesn't make sense. Love never makes sense. You don't love me. You don't even know me. Then let me know you." His grip on her hand tightened. "Stay in Seoul. Get to know me. Let me prove that I can be what you need. I can't just abandon my life. What's waiting for you back home?" Jihan leaned closer. "A city that doesn't appreciate your talent. Student loans you can't pay. Working 3 jobs just to survive. Zara, I can give you everything you've ever wanted. All you have to do is say yes." How did he know about her 3 jobs, her student loans? You investigated me, Zara said slowly. You had someone dig into my entire life. Yes, that's insane. That's survival. I don't take risks with things that matter. Zara pulled her hand away and stood up. I need air. She walked out to the balcony, and Jihan followed. The Seoul skyline sparkled in front of them, beautiful and overwhelming. I'm scared, Zara admitted. You scare me. Good. Jihan came up behind her, close but not touching. You should be scared of me, but I will never hurt you. I'd burn this entire city down before I let anyone hurt you. Why me? Why not someone who fits into your world? Because you're real. His voice got rough. Everyone in my world is fake. They want my money, my power, my protection. But you looked at me like I was just a man. Not a monster, just a man. Do you know how rare that is? Zara turned to face him, and the look in his eyes almost broke her heart. He looked lonely, desperately, achingly lonely. I can't stay in Seoul, she said softly. But I don't want to never see you again either. Then don't leave. Jihan cupped her face. Give me 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks to prove that this is real. If after 2 weeks you want to go home, I'll put you on a plane myself. But please, Zara, give us a chance. She was about to answer when her phone rang. Maya, I need to take this, Zara said, stepping away. Maya was crying. You need to get out of there right now. I've been researching him all day. Zara, he's not just a gangster. He's wanted by Interpol. There are rumors he's killed over 30 people personally, and there's a whole dark web forum about him where people talk about what happens to women who get involved with him. Zara felt sick. 3 years ago, Maya continued, a woman dated him for 2 months. When she tried to leave, she disappeared. They never found her body. Zara, people who get involved with him don't just walk away, they vanish. Zara's hand was shaking so hard, she almost dropped the phone. I have to go. She ended the call and turned to find Jihan standing there, having heard everything. Is it true? Zara's voice was barely a whisper. Did you kill a woman who tried to leave you? Jihan's expression went cold. No, but I know who did, and I made sure they suffered for it. She wasn't mine, but she died in my territory, so I took responsibility. The answer is I've killed people who deserved it. Traffickers, rapists, men who hurt women. His eyes were black ice. But I have never and will never hurt a woman, especially not one I care about. How do I know you're telling the truth? You don't. Jihan took a step closer. You have to trust me, and I know that's asking the impossible. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the building. Glass shattered. Alarms started screaming. Jihan grabbed Zara and pulled her down just as bullets tore through the space where they'd been standing. What's happening? Zara screamed. My enemies just made a big mistake. Jihan pulled out a gun from under his jacket. Stay down. Men in black tactical gear burst onto the balcony, and Jihan moved like violence personified. Zara watched in horror as he shot 3 men in seconds. Precise, efficient, terrifying. More men poured in. Jihan was shouting in Korean into his phone. More gunfire, more screaming. Then everything went quiet. Jihan grabbed Zara's hand. We need to go now? They ran through the restaurant, past bodies Zara tried not to look at, and out to the street where dozens of black SUVs were screeching to a stop. Get in. Jihan shoved Zara into the middle vehicle. What about you? I'll be right behind you. I need to make sure they don't follow. Jihan, but he was already gone, running back toward the building with his gun raised. The SUV took off with Zara screaming for them to go back. They drove for what felt like hours, taking turns so fast Zara felt sick, until finally they arrived at a massive compound surrounded by walls and armed guards. A man opened her door. Miss Williams, please come with me. You'll be safe here. Where's Jihan? The boss will be here soon. But an hour passed, then 2, then 4. Zara sat in a luxurious room that felt like a prison, staring at her phone, jumping at every sound. Finally, at 2 a.m., her phone rang. A voice she didn't recognize spoke in accented English. Miss Williams, my name is Kim Dae-ho. I'm the head of the Black Dragon Syndicate, and I'm currently looking at your boyfriend, Jihan, who has a gun pointed at his head. Zara's entire world stopped. He's alive for now, but that depends entirely on what you do next. What do you want? You, Miss Williams, in exchange for him. You see, we've been watching. We know you're important to him, and we're willing to make a trade. You turn yourself over to us, and we let Jihan live. You have until sunrise to decide. That's 4 hours from now. The man laughed. It was a sound that made Zara's blood run cold. Choose wisely, because if you don't come, we'll send Jihan back to you in pieces. The line went dead. Zara stared at the phone in absolute horror. Outside, she heard vehicles pulling up, dozens of them. She ran to the window and almost fainted. 50 black SUVs were pulling into the compound, surrounding it completely. Jihan's men were scrambling, grabbing weapons, shouting orders. Zara's phone buzzed with a text from the unknown number. "Look outside. That's our army. You have 4 hours. Come to us, or everyone in that compound dies, including Jihan." A photo came through. Jihan, bloodied and tied to a chair, unconscious. Zara's hands were shaking so hard she could barely hold the phone. She'd known him for 2 days, 48 hours. And now she had to decide if his life was worth more than her own. She thought about her mom, about Maya, about the life she'd left behind in Atlanta. She thought about Jihan's eyes when he'd told her she made him feel alive. She thought about the way he'd looked at her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. Zara picked up her phone and typed a message to Maya. "If something happens to me, tell my mom I love her. Tell her I finally did something that mattered." Then she walked to the door, opened it, and told the guard standing there, "Take me to Kim Dae-ho. I'm ready to make the trade." The guard stared at her like she'd lost her mind. "Miss Williams," the boss gave strict orders. "I don't care about his orders. That's his life or mine, and I'm choosing his." Maybe it was stupid. Maybe it was the dumbest decision she'd ever made. Maybe she'd known him for 2 days, and that wasn't enough time to fall in love with someone. But Zara had spent 20 years playing it safe, being responsible, doing what she was supposed to do. And where had it gotten her? Broke, exhausted, barely surviving. For once in her life, Zara wanted to do something reckless, something insane, something that mattered, even if it killed her. The guard made a phone call, spoke rapidly in Korean, then looked at Zara with something that might have been respect. "The car is ready, Miss Williams. Are you sure about this?" Zara thought about Jihan's smile, the way his hand had felt against her cheek, the way he'd said her name like it was a prayer. "I'm sure." She got in the car, and as they drove toward whatever hell was waiting for her, Zara realized something. She'd come to Seoul looking for $50,000 and a chance to restart her life. Instead, she'd found something worth more than money. She'd found someone worth dying for. Whether that made her brave or stupid, she'd find out soon enough. The car drove into the night, and Zara didn't look back. What happens next will break your heart and put it back together in ways you can't imagine. Subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because part 2 is going to destroy you. Will Zara survive? Will Jihan save her in time? Or is this a love story that ends in tragedy? Comment below. Should Zara have saved herself or saved him? What would you have done? Because I need to know if you're ready for what comes next. Trust me, you're not. Nobody ever is. The warehouse Kim Dae-ho had chosen for the exchange looked like the kind of place where hope went to die. Abandoned for years, rust eating through the metal walls, broken windows staring down like dead eyes. Zara sat in the back of the black sedan as it pulled through the gates, her hands clasped so tightly in her lap that her knuckles had gone white. She'd made peace with dying tonight. What she hadn't made peace with was the possibility that Jihan might die anyway, that this whole sacrifice would be meaningless, that Kim Dae-ho was lying and planned to kill them both regardless of what she did. The car stopped. The door opened. A man with cold eyes and expensive clothes gestured for her to get out. "Welcome, Miss Williams. You're even more beautiful than the photos." Kim Dae-ho was waiting inside the warehouse, and Zara understood immediately why Jihan considered him dangerous. Where Jihan was controlled intensity, Kim Dae-ho was barely contained chaos. Tall, lean, with the kind of smile that made your skin crawl. He was standing next to a chair where Jihan sat tied up, blood trickling from a cut above his eyebrow, but very much alive. The relief that flooded through Zara was so intense, she almost collapsed. "You kept your word," she said, her voice stronger than she felt. "Did you think I wouldn't?" Kim Dae-ho circled her slowly, like a predator studying prey. "You're even more interesting in person. I can see why he lost his mind over you." Now Zara could see Jihan clearly, and the look in his eyes was pure murder. Not directed at her, but at every man in this warehouse. Even tied up, even bleeding, he looked like a loaded weapon waiting to go off. "The plan you don't know about," Jihan said quietly, "is that my men have been tracking your phone since you left the compound. They've been surrounding this place for the last 30 minutes. You walked into a trap thinking you were setting one. Kim Daeho's confident smile faltered for just a second. Then he laughed. Even if that's true, you'll both be dead before they reach us. But that second of doubt was all Jihan needed. The ropes around his wrists, Zara realized with shock, were already cut. He'd been free this entire time, waiting for the right moment. Chaos erupted. Jihan launched himself from the chair, moving faster than should have been humanly possible. The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in hellish red. Gunfire exploded from every direction as Jihan's men breached the warehouse from 6 different entry points simultaneously. Zara dropped to the floor as bullets whined overhead. She could hear Jihan shouting orders in Korean, could see muzzle flashes lighting up the darkness like deadly fireworks. Someone grabbed her arm, and she almost screamed before she recognized Seobin's voice. "Miss Williams, we need to move now." They half ran, half crawled toward what looked like a storage room while the gunfight raged around them. Zara caught glimpses of Jihan through the chaos, and he was terrifying. Efficient. Deadly. Every shot he fired found its target. This wasn't the man who'd touched her face gently on a restaurant balcony. This was the monster everyone was afraid of. They made it to cover just as an explosion rocked the warehouse. Someone had thrown a grenade. Dust and debris rained down, and for a moment the gunfire stopped. In the sudden silence, Zara heard Kim Daeho's voice, furious and desperate. "You think you've won. You have no idea what's coming. I've got 30 more men surrounding this place, and backup from the triads in Hong Kong. You're outnumbered 5 to 1. Jihan's response was calm, almost conversational. "I know. That's why I called the police 20 minutes ago and told them exactly where to find Seoul's biggest drug shipment. The one in your warehouse across the city. The one with enough heroin to put you away for life. By now they've found it, and every cop in Seoul is looking for you. You can kill us, Daeho, but you'll never leave this city alive." The silence that followed was deafening. Then Kim Daeho screamed in rage. "If I'm going down, I'm taking you both with me." The gunfight resumed with renewed intensity. Zara pressed herself against the wall, heart pounding so hard she thought it might explode. This was insane. She was a dance major from Atlanta, and she was in the middle of a gang war in Seoul because she'd fallen for the wrong man. Or maybe the right one. She wasn't sure anymore. "Seobin," she said quietly, "how did you know where to find me?" "GPS tracker in the dress boss gave you yesterday. He's been tracking your location since you put it on." Zara stared at him. "That's terrifying." Seobin shrugged. "That's love in our world." A new voice cut through the chaos. "Korean police. The building is surrounded. Throw down your weapons and come out with your hands up." Kim Daeho's desperate laughter echoed through the warehouse. "You called the police on yourself, you insane bastard. If they catch you, you'll go to prison too. Better than letting you hurt her," Jihan's voice called back. Zara's chest tightened. He was willing to go to prison rather than risk her safety. That was either the most romantic thing she'd ever heard or the most tragic. Maybe both. The police sirens were getting closer. Spotlights blazed through the broken windows. Kim Daeho's men were trapped, and they knew it. One by one, she heard weapons clattering to the floor. "We surrender," someone called out in accented English. "Don't shoot." Zara waited for what felt like hours before Seobin told her it was safe to move. When she finally emerged from the storage room, the warehouse looked like a war zone. Broken glass everywhere, bullet holes in the walls, smoke hanging in the air like fog. And in the middle of it all, Jihan was sitting on the floor with his hands zip-tied behind his back, talking calmly to a Korean police detective. When he saw Zara, his entire expression changed. Relief flooded his face, followed immediately by something that looked like regret. She ran to him, dropped to her knees beside him, not caring that there were 20 cops watching. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" "I'm fine," he said quietly. "But Zara, I need you to listen to me very carefully. I'm going to prison. Maybe for a long time. Maybe forever. The police have been building a case against me for years, and tonight gave them everything they needed. You need to go back to Atlanta. Go back to your life. Forget about me." She stared at him in shock. "Forget about you. Are you insane? You think I'm just going to walk away after everything that's happened? You saved my life. I saved yours. We're even." "No." Jihan's voice got harder. "We're not even. You don't owe me anything. I dragged you into this world, and it almost got you killed. That's on me. The smart thing, the right thing, is for you to leave and never look back. Before Zara could respond, the detective cleared his throat. Miss Williams, we'll need to take your statement. But first, there's something you should know. We've been investigating Mr. Lee for 3 years. Tonight's evidence will likely result in multiple charges, but his cooperation in bringing down the Kim Dae-ho organization will be taken into consideration. He's looking at reduced sentences, not life imprisonment. Jihan shot the detective a look that could have melted steel. I told you to discuss that later. The detective shrugged. She deserves to know what she's choosing. 2 years, maybe 3 with good behavior. Not 30. Zara felt like she could breathe again for the first time since this whole nightmare started. 2 to 3 years. That was survivable. That was something she could wait for. But when she looked at Jihan's face, she realized he didn't see it that way. 2 or 3 years of your life, Zara. 2 or 3 years of waiting for a man you've known for 3 days. 2 or 3 years of your 20s wasted on someone who can never give you a normal life. Don't do that to yourself. She stood up, looked down at him, and for the first time since they'd met, Zara felt like she was the one with all the power. Lee Jihan, she said firmly, you don't get to make that choice for me. You don't get to decide what my life is worth or how I should spend it. You told me you'd never felt anything like this before. Well, neither have I. And I'm not walking away from it because you think you know what's best for me. His eyes searched her face desperately. Zara, you don't understand what you're saying. This isn't a romance movie. Prison is real. The life I live when I get out is real. The danger is real. So is this, she said, gesturing between them. So are the feelings I have for you. So is the fact that for the first time in my life, I'm not making the safe choice. I'm making the choice that scares me and excites me and makes me feel alive. Just like you said I made you feel. The detective was watching this exchange with barely concealed fascination. The other officers were pretending not to listen while obviously hanging on every word. This was probably the most dramatic arrest they'd ever witnessed. 3 years, Jihan said quietly. 3 years is a long time. It is, Zara agreed. But I've got things to do anyway. Finish my degree, maybe. Learn Korean. Figure out how to make a life here, if that's what I want. And when you get out, we'll see where we stand. Maybe we'll realize this was just adrenaline and proximity, and we're completely wrong for each other. Or maybe we'll realize we found something worth fighting for. Either way, that's my choice to make. Jihan was quiet for a long moment. Then, despite the zip ties, despite the cops, despite everything, he smiled. That real smile she'd only seen once before. It's still insane, he said. Completely insane, she agreed. But I'm tired of sane. Sane got me 3 jobs and student loans and a life that felt too small. Insane got me you. The detective cleared his throat again. If you two are finished, we do need to process Mr. Lee and get Miss Williams' statement. Zara leaned down, kissed Jihan's forehead gently, not caring who was watching. I'll see you soon, she whispered, however long it takes. As they led him away, Jihan called back over his shoulder. Zara, learn Korean. When I get out, I want to hear you say my name the right way. She laughed, surprising herself. It was the first time she'd laughed in what felt like years. Consider it done. 6 months later, Zara was sitting in a visiting room at Seoul Correctional Institute, speaking halting but determined Korean to the man across the table from her. She'd finished her degree online, found a job teaching dance to international students, and discovered that Seoul felt more like home than Atlanta ever had. 3 years suddenly didn't seem very long at all. When Jihan took her hands across the table, his eyes bright with something that might have been hope, Zara knew she'd made the right choice. The insane choice. The choice that scared her and thrilled her and made her feel like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Sometimes the most beautiful things in life came from the most dangerous decisions. And sometimes, if you were very lucky, love really could save you both. The end. Thank you so much for reading this story. If you loved it, make sure to subscribe for more intense romance stories that will keep you up all night. Comment below and let me know what you thought of Zara's choice. Was she brave or crazy? What would you have done? And if you want more stories like this, stories that push boundaries and explore the darker side of love, hit that notification bell because I have so many more coming your way. Trust me, you're going to want to read every single one.